I think it's an exciting and beautiful time for hip hop to have women at the forefront. We're everywhere. It's gonna stand the test of time, and I think it's gonna help to even out the playing field. It may not be that we're always at the forefront, but we won't be in the shadow. What's up, y'all? This is Rapsody, and you're watching Billboard News.
Thrilled to be sitting next to Rapsody.
I'm so happy to be here with you, legend.
First name Marlena, last name Evans. Underappreciated, but I'm still the most respected.
I wanted to get your take on the resurgence of women in hip hop. And you've seen a lot of change, ups and downs in that arena. Is this more than just a moment? I think some people might still try to look at it as a fad, it'll go away, but
No, this is a beautiful beginning. We never seen it like this. I think there was a time, 90s, of course, we had MC Lyte, Queen Latifah, Lauren, Little Kim, Foxy, Missy Elliott, Charlie Baltimore. I could go on and on. But I think with social media, you see it in such a heavy force. It's everywhere. So, I'm excited about it.
Who were your key influences on the hip hop side coming up?
My key, Lauryn Hill, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Nas, Biggie, Erykah Badu, she's hip hop to me. MC Lyte, Queen Latifah. I listen to DMX heavy. What?
Exactly.
Heavy East Coast, right?
So do you think social media is the reason behind the push? Because then there was a lull, I think, and then Nicki Minaj came and kind of pushed the door open and crashed through, and you got Lotto, Megan Thee Stallion, Coi Leray, Ice Spice, City Girls, yourself, Cardi B. Why is it resonating now where it wasn't before?
I think it's a few things. I think everything has its time for sure, but Nicki coming in and doing what she did definitely opened the door. And then when Cardi came in, you have two huge women that are very, very, very successful. And if you know the industry, you see one success, it's like, great, let's really pour into this. And, too, I think that women's stories were needed. It ain't so much men's, stories and narratives that you can this world is not just men. So I think, their voices were needed. And I think the way that Cardi supported so many women also helped as well.
Certified free, 7 days a week, wet and gushy, make that pull-out game weak.
Because of who she was and the success she had, and to speak people's names, to work with the artists that she did, it definitely, made room and space for other artists. And social media, I think it definitely plays its part. You don't have to rely on the machine necessarily. If you put your music out, if you're good at branding and marketing, you reach your audience. That's what I like to believe.
Speaking of which, your fourth album coming out this week, Please Don't Cry. Talk about the naming, the title.
Yeah, it's supposed to be ironic, right? It's please don't cry, but the real message is no, please do cry. Allow yourself to be human, allow yourself to feel, to sit in your emotions, to grow from it, and think of all the reasons that we do cry. Of course we cry when we're sad, but we cry when we're happy too, and joyful, and when we cry when we're in love. And it's just about allowing yourself to really be imperfect and embracing the human that you are.
Okay, so how long has this been in the works? Has this something that the first three albums led to? And
No.
this is okay.
After Eve and, I did 2 tours, I had an idea of where I wanted to go next with the album. And then we went into the pandemic. And going into the pandemic, everybody having to sit with themselves, be alone, the volume of the world turned down and everything internal turned up.
Who are you? Who are you in your rawest state?
You have some healing to do. You have a lot of growing to do and evolving. And going through the process, it started in March of 2020. I started working on 3 albums at one time, right? Because it was like I'm thinking, Eve is done. I know which one I want to do next. But then I have this other idea. But then I'm feeling so much emotionally that I need to purge. And I think it was a week once we were in lockdown, I did 10 or 12 songs in 2 or 3 days. And I just kept going. And it took me about 3.5, 4 years, 360 songs.
Jeez.
I had a lot to say, I had a lot to get out, but I was relearning myself.
In a world of badasses, I value being unique. I walk through the streets, most people look like us. It's divisive what they put on devices.
I just poured out everything, you know, and
Wow.
I didn't, you know, I tried not to leave a stone unturned.
So you would call this your most vulnerable album?
Absolutely, without a doubt,
Okay.
yeah.
If you could use just 3 words to describe the project, what 3 words would you use?
Honest, fearless, and free.
So the process, how much different was it from the other 3? Was this hardest to put together? It sounds like it might have been the easiest because you just, as you just said before, it was freeing and you were just pouring things out of yourself.
Yeah, it was the easiest in that way. The hard part was, you know, every project I've done, I never felt really confident or really sure in myself or my ideas, and I would lean on my village. I would lean on Guru. I would lean on Knife, and you know, they were so graceful in that they always were there to help, right, to guide me. And this time it was like I told Guru, I said, I think I want to do this myself. Like, I want to trust myself. And it was I was nervous, right? Can you do this? Is it going to be good enough? You know, and that was the hardest part, like trusting myself. But I'm happy I did it. It was a beautiful challenge and I grew a lot from it. And I got to understand that this is just art. You're supposed to create from who you are and just put it out in the world, good, bad, and different. You know, just make the music that you want to make. And that, you know, the illusion and fantasy of, you know, trying to fit in these spaces and get validation is not real. People have to know who I am first before I could do and tell them or give them anything else. They have to get to know me first, you know, and then we can go into the other things and ideas and things that I want to do, you know, music-wise. But that became the priority. I thought it was important that, you know, they get to know and see me and connect with me first.
You make me feel like a new person. You make me pull back the curtains.
What was the most rewarding part of creating this project? And was it more for yourself, you think, or was it more for your fans, or having it?
All for me. But I knew in doing it for me and doing it from the place I was creating from, that it would also inspire and speak to other people. You know, when I think about my favorite music, I was like, yo, it's all honest and it's all fearless, and you know, people aren't afraid to shine a light on themselves, and I feel that, you know. And I was like, a lot of the things that I go through, I know there are other people that can be inspired from it in some shape, form, or fashion. So, you know, I just really leaned on that, like, you know, give yourself, it'll give people permission. It'll be a compass for people.
Every day's a mental cleaning spree, navigating through this business, trying to find some decency.
Stand tall. When I listen to the tracks, some of the lyrics you have in there, like every day is a mental cleaning spree, and you're telling people, believe what you choose. I know my own. Belief in myself. So I wanted you to speak a little bit on that, what you wanted to portray about yourself, as you said earlier, about who you are in that song.
Yeah, I think for me at that time, that song came from, you know, being an artist in the age of social media. And if you allow yourself to tap into it, which I always do, I don't know why I do it myself, but I read comments, you know, I think it's, for me, a study of, you know, just people and what they think and how they react. And, you know, I would read the comments about myself sometimes, or, you know, the chatter that you hear. And, you know, that particular song was really about the questions on my sexuality, you know, from some people that I've seen at that time. And I just wanted to write, like, I'm living so much real life. Like, a lot of people are. Those are the last frivolous things that we should really care about, right? It always fascinates me how celebrities are just, you know, put on this pedestal, or you feel like because they're celebrities that you have to know every part of their life. And it's like, it should never really be about that, because we're just as human as anybody else, right?
Exactly.
So it was just like, you know, this is the life I'm living. You know, I suffer from anxiety. I have, family members that are sick, that I worry about. People in my life have passed away at this time too. I'm thinking about some of my closest friends. There was a period where it was 6 or 7 of them and all of their fathers died back to back to back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, yo, I'm really living real life, These things it's empty, it means nothing to me. So it was just me sharing just my thoughts on it.
I know you did the interview with Sanaa Lathan.
Yeah.
Why with Sanaa, and why you wanted to address the rumors about your sexuality and dealing with anxiety, as you just mentioned. Why was that? Why did you make that choice?
I think because I never really addressed anything, and it was for me. It wasn't really for anybody else. It was for me, again, to just show like, yo, I'm a human. This is how I feel. And whenever that beat came on, those are the words that just came out, right? I thought it was important for people to hear, just that perspective of like, I see it, and I'm human, and this is how I feel, and
Has anything scared you in sharing your truth on this album? Has anything?
The only one thing that was a little hesitant, and it didn't have to do with like the industry or the world. It was the people closest to you, your family, right? Because this album is so honest and it's so raw, and to my family, you almost want to, like, I'm the good girl, right?
Yeah.
I think for a lot of us women, or even growing up, it's it's the
You're the
idea.
example, yeah.
You're the example. Don't disappoint the family, but it's like, Dag, I don't want them to hear this part, But you have to lean into it, and just as imperfect as you are, you gotta understand your family is imperfect too. There are things about them that you don't know either. You never want them to be disappointed, and maybe things that you've done that you've had to learn lessons from, or that, whatever the case may be, that they may not approve of. But in that, I had to learn that, you get one life to live, and you just have to live it free, and people are gonna love you regardless.
Exactly. So what has been their reaction?
They haven't heard it yet.
They haven't heard it.
No.
It's okay.
No,
All right,
but it's everything is okay.
Where my lovers at tonight? The heartbreakers and the heartbroken.
So 3 a.m. I love the jazziness of the track, the intimacy of the track. So talk a little bit about that track, because it also has Erykah Badu, who you worked with before.
Man, I love her so much. Like, one of my biggest inspirations, art and as an individual. But that record came about, the album came in phases with me working with different producers, and I was in Dallas, Texas, working with S1. Actually got to stay with him for about a month, and really create. So he was really instrumental in this project sounding the way it does. But I had just gotten out of a relationship maybe a year before, but I really wanted to talk about 3 a.m. because it's such a special hour for me. It used to be one of my most creative hours, but it's also the hour where I'm the most bold. And I will say, like, no filter. I actually read in Quincy Jones' book, I forgot what it's called, but it's something where your brain is just, I don't know if you're so tired, but your brain doesn't have the energy to put on no filters and overthink anything. So at 3 a.m. I was on a date. It wasn't 3 at the time, but it was maybe an hour or two before that. And you can feel when people have feelings for each other sometimes, but nobody will really say it. So it got quiet, and they were like, what are you thinking? And I said, I can't tell you till 3 a.m. And we sat there till 3 a.m. And I said what I said, but I wanted to talk about love from that perspective, and it was just a real honest, true story about a relationship that I had that was beautiful, and it ended. And love goes through phases. You love, you're in it, it's beautiful. Then it can get messy, it can get awkward, it can get uncomfortable, and then it ends, and you grieve it. You can relate it to sometimes to almost someone dying. grief looks different in different ways. So it was just me talking about the story of what that is. But I left the hook open, and I knew on this album I wanted to have a lot of R&B singers because of the emotion and the soul that I wanted in it, and I can't sing it myself. So S1 said, what you want to do with the hook? I was like, man, I only hear Erykah. That's all I hear. And I've been wanting to work with her for years in this capacity. So S1 said, I'll reach out and see, and she said yes.
You've got a lot of great collaborators on this album, some guest cameos. So briefly, if you can talk a little bit first about Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, oh,
yes.
One of my favorite lyricists ever.
Okay.
You know, I've been listening to him since I was 13 years old. I've studied him even, you know, as I've developed as an artist, you know, about his cadences, and, you know, he's just elite at what he does. So I've always wanted to create with him. You know, it was a big check off my list. Mm-hmm. And I did the song Raw. I wanted to do something that really talked about, like, we live in a time where everybody's chasing perfection, and it was like, oh, I miss, like, what's wrong with just being raw some days? You know, I don't feel like wearing makeup today. My bra and panties don't always match. Like, I'm just raw. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm human. And so, you know, it's actually 2 versions of the song, but I did my verse, and I was like, man, raw. Wayne would just sound crazy on this. I would love to hear his perspective, and I just reached out, you know, and he said, yeah.
Nice.
Like, really easy to work with.
Was
fast,
okay.
too. Yeah,
I'm sure fast, because he's always working on something. Yeah.
I appreciate, you know, the support, and just him being as kind as he has been, you know, through the process, and lending his services to me.
Felicia Rashad.
Let me tell you something, Miss Gail. I love that woman. You know, she's been a part of a lot of our lives since I can remember, young child, just through the Cosby Show and so many other characters she's played. But she always inspired me growing up. I think as Black women, we see ourselves in so many, and I always looked at her not only as a mother figure, but she was always regal and classy. You know what I'm saying? Like, she walked with honor. She walked with her shoulders back, her chest out, beauty, graceful intelligence. And it just always inspired me. I said, man, that's how I want to show up in my profession in hip hop.
And then Baby Tate.
I love Baby Tate, you know, of the next, you know, generation coming up. I think she's so talented, you know, and of course it's in her blood with her mom, Dionne Farris. But I've always appreciated her rapping ability, but I really fell in love with her singing ability. And, you know, that record that we did, A Ballad for Homegirls, I wanted to feel like, you know, you having a conversation with your homegirl. And I thought she was just the perfect one. She's fun, and she absolutely killed it. Like, I loved her approach. I love her energy. I love that she sang and rapped a little bit on it. So it's one of my favorite songs on the album, too.
Know my power, I know what my penmanship is. Drop so many jewels, I couldn't even put them on wrist.
What is the one takeaway you want fans and new fans to have when they listen to the album?
Most importantly, I wanted to connect in the way that I want people to see themselves in me. And by that, I mean, not that your story has to be like mine, but you see the humanness in you, right? The imperfection, and that you realize that, you know, we're all more alike than we are different. And it's okay to just be, and not have to chase this idea of illusion of fantasy, or feel like you have to be this unattainable thing. You could just be human, unplug from the matrix and live in reality. Just be real.
Thank you so much, Rapsody.
Thank you, Gail.
Everybody go out and listen to Please Don't Cry. And thank you for sitting down with Billboard.
Oh, thank you for having me.